I never thought I'd see you live in Wembley, in a crowd of thousands singing along in the stadium. I want to give my thanks before you go on. I won't get to speak to you in person, but I want to send this message, and I'll try not to make it too long. The 24th isn't just a visit, it's the final chapter coming to an end. 6 months I've listened to your songs, from losing loved ones to see you on stage. You got me through them all. Your music kept me going through the good times and bad. Thank you for the songs you wrote, and I wish you the best of luck. From a girl named Sarah. Now, this is a really big thing that I wanted to share as an opening of the video, but I wrote a little something which I'll probably post on social media as well, because I wanted to take this opportunity to sit down and to have a chat with you guys, because last week I got myself thinking. On the train back from the autism show last weekend, I heard of a talk about grief and loss. And after hearing the talk, it got me thinking about what to do. And I thought I would just take this opportunity just to sit down and share with you my story and how it all came possible. And the reason why I wanted to share with you guys my feelings and being open a little bit, as well as sharing my journey. But also, on the 24th of June, which I mentioned, I'm going to see Ed Sheeran live in Wembley Stadium, and I cannot tell you how excited I am. I haven't seen Ed live before, and I have been listening to his music for such a long time, well, since I was 16, and it's just a dream come true. It really, really is, but it was very last minute, so it was something that I didn't really expect, but I feel that I am glad in a way, because I am so excited to see him, but then also it's going to be an emotional journey, because going to Wembley Stadium is kind of like coming to an end of a journey, as I mentioned in the poem I wrote for Ed. 6 months ago, I was in a really, really dark place. I wouldn't say that I had depression, but I was really going through a really stressful and little bit of an emotional time. When Andy passed away, I didn't really know what to do with myself, and I was really sad for such a long time, and I just really couldn't get things out of my head. And I remember getting that phone call on the day, and when I found out, I just bursted into tears and I couldn't stop myself from crying. I had never experienced emotions like this before, but it was just such a shock because Andy's death was all sudden, and I just didn't really know how to process everything, and it just got me in such a bad state. I just felt like I couldn't really go on. On the day before Andy's funeral, I was taking the Christmas cards down, but as I was actually looking at the Christmas card, I suddenly had this little feeling. And the first song that I played as I wrote a little message inside Andy's Christmas card, Ed Sheeran's Visiting Hours. Visiting Hours somehow brought me a little bit of comfort, and I didn't really know or understand why. And it just made me feel like it was just a part of the process that was healing a little bit. And I thought to myself, okay, but this is something that I've never experienced before. I never ever thought that I would get through to doing things without listening to Ed's music, and I just thought, wow, that was really something. After Andy's funeral, I was definitely still down a little bit, but I thought to myself, I just got to get on with life. Every single time that I could, whenever it was my free time, I would listen to Ed's songs and they would always pick me up. And this was the case when I started training at my local sports centre, and when I started my cafe training at Sunnyside, I actually used to listen to the radio a lot whilst I was working in the kitchen, whether it was preparing food, doing barista, or doing some front of house training or services. I would hear the radio and Ed Sheeran songs would play on the radio, and lots of things started opening up to me. I actually had the opportunity to speak at the autism show. I have been actually doing more work at Sunnyside. I've actually been doing loads of things. Lots of opportunities came left, right and centre, and I thought to myself, oh wow, this is just something that's getting somewhere. But then in May I lost a very, very close family relation, and it was back downhill all over again. And since the funeral was so far away from my home, I was a bit homesick and everything just got a bit too much. But luckily I actually got an Alexa for my birthday that my dad gave me and my mum. So I used the Alexa to spend time listening to Ed Sheeran songs, and then I remember the day before the funeral, my mum tried to dance along with me to Overpass Graffiti, and I would never forget that moment really, because I think that was really, really special. And then I couldn't go to the funeral because I was so scared and it was just too pressuring. I did feel guilty, but I did record myself doing a cover of Visiting Hours on the day of the funeral, but I'm not really too sure of uploading it just because I wasn't really too sure, and I am still a little bit unsure, but I don't know. I just really don't know what I'm going to do with it. But it did bring me a lot of comfort, even though I cried a lot of the time. And I never cried to a song that heavy before whilst thinking of a loved one. And then flash forward to like a few weeks afterwards, I was getting everything ready and I thought, okay, that's just completely fine. Ed's songs actually kept me going, and I felt a little bit sad again because I knew after the funeral, the second funeral, I found that Ed was going on tour and I was so gutted that I really couldn't go. And then also, and I know I will never ever get to meet him in person, but if I ever do, I really want to take the opportunity to say thank you to Ed for everything. But I know it will never ever happen. But seeing him on stage, it's just a way of saying thank you, definitely. But when I found out that I was going, because a friend of mine asked me one day, would you like to come and see Ed Sheeran with me? I thought, yes! I can't miss this opportunity. But unfortunately it's the day before the autism show in Birmingham and I'm supposed to be giving the talk during that afternoon, so it's going to be interesting to see how everything goes. But I think we can do this. I think we can. But I haven't really thought about what I'm going to do, but I know that if I see Ed going on stage for the first time, I have a feeling I am going to cry. It just depends where I'm sitting in Wembley. I am going to cry because not only it's a dream come true, but it's also a celebration of life, and it's also letting go of the pain and the hurt and the loss and all of that sort of thing. So in a way, really, it's just coming up to a positive end on a journey. And of course, there will be other times where I feel sad about different things, but that's okay because we're only human. I'm only human. So it's just one of those things that does happen. But I am really, I'm actually really looking forward to the concert in so many different ways. And I probably have talked a lot, so I am actually going to end this vlog here. But before I go, and Ed, I know I'm probably not going to actually talk to you face to face, but I just want to say a massive big thank you. You really changed my life for the past 6 months and helped me get through the healing process at this very difficult time. And I'm trying so hard not to cry because I'm not very good at crying on camera. I've done it once before, but I definitely don't want to cry on camera again if I can help it. But so yeah, Ed, thank you so much for getting me through this really difficult time, through this journey. And honestly, I am so grateful that you actually brought this music to not only help me but help so many others as well. I wish you the best of luck for Wembley on the 24th, and I wish you all the best of luck for the rest of the tours as well. And until then, I will leave it here. I think there is a lot of wonderful things going on at the moment, and I just feel like this journey is going to be a really, really positive one, even though it's been a long, difficult road. So until then, I'll see you on the 24th.